All of the electricity you'll ever need is free for the taking. Hello, I'm Michael Holigan. Welcome to your new house. If you could cut out your electric bill forever, you wouldn't think twice. Steve EASLEY visits some people who have done it, and he'll show you how you can do it too. And working in your garage isn't as much fun unless you've got a good place to do it. Don't buy it, build it. Super Handyman CARRELL shows you how. Plus, don't bag or dump that yard waste. After you mow it, clip it and trim it, recycle it. We'll show you how the old stuff can help nurture the new. It's all coming up when your new house returns. More and more homeowners these days are looking for an alternative to plain old concrete driveways. And many of them are discovering something old that's making a comeback in a new and improved version. If you like the old world look of cobblestone, we may have just the thing you've been looking for. Now, the great thing about a cobblestone driveway is the looks. The problem is the expense. You've got to carve each stone by hand, so as you can imagine, the stonemason's going to be pretty expensive. Plus, they don't fit real tight together, so you end up with gaps where weeds and grass actually grow through. We don't have that problem with this driveway, though, because Matt and his crew put down a product that's a little different. And Matt, what is this?
This is just a concrete paver. It consists of sand, aggregates, integral coloring, and cement.
But the edges are rough, like a stonemason actually chipped away at it. How do you do that?
And we have a processor in line that actually puts that treatment on it so it looks like an old world cobblestone.
It definitely looks old world. Makes a nice driveway. We've got a big fan shape here. And how do you start something like this with a big curve in it?
Well, what we do is we start in the softest curve you can make there so you don't have big gaps in between the stones, and then just each row will follow it along and maintain the same pattern. It's real easy because it comes in 4 different size pieces so you can fit them all in as you go.
What do you have to do to prepare the base so the cars won't push it down over time?
Well, this particular driveway here had an existing concrete driveway under it, so all we needed was a thin layer of bedding sand. Back here on the sidewalk where there wasn't a base, we've had to cement treat and then put the bedding sand on top of that. We can look at that back here.
Okay. Well, Matt, you can feel that it's tight. What'd you mix into the soil to tighten it up like this?
What we did was we took a regular garden tiller, we till in Portland cement, wet it down, run a compactor on it. It sets up to about 850 psi, a cement treated base.
It should be plenty strong for a sidewalk.
You bet,
yeah.
You bet.
And then here it looks like you've got a couple inches of sand that you leveled out on top of it?
Yeah, you spread out an inch to 2 inches of sand, screed it off nice and level, because whatever level that is going to be the plane of your pavers.
Okay. And then you added some conduit here, I guess in case we ever need to run a wire or a pipe, we're not going to have to pull up any of the cobblestone?
Better than peeling them up later.
Tell me about the toe curb. What are you using to keep the pavers in tight?
What we like to use is a concrete toe curb. It's a piece of rebar you lay along the edge. You mix up some concrete and lay it at a wedge. Just trowel it down even, keep it down low enough that your edger blade's not going to get into it.
If you're laying these Belgard cobblestone pavers for a driveway, without the luxury of an existing concrete pad, you'll need to lay at least 6 inches of crushed stone aggregate to establish a firm base. On top of that, you'll also need at least 1 inch of sand. Then you'll have to compact those layers with a flat plate vibrator compactor you can find at equipment rental outlets. Final leveling is easy to achieve by dragging a 2x4 over 2 pipes that are 1 inch in diameter. After that, you're ready to start laying the cobblestones in whatever pattern you like. The varying sizes help achieve an authentic look, while the antiquing on these pavers helps give the look of old chiseled stone. Once your cobblestones are all in place and secured along the edges, it's time to do a little more compacting, starting with the entire outside edge first, then circling inward towards the middle.
At this point, we've got the compactor run on the pavers and got them all set into the sand base real well. Now we can sweep this sand in, get it all evened out, then run the compactor on it again and work the sand down into the joints, and that will lock the pavers in place.
And that sand will really make them tight, won't it?
Makes them real tight. It's almost impossible to get them out, but you can lift them out with a screwdriver if you got to make a repair or replace a soiled one.
Do we need to sweep all the sand off after we fill up the crevices, or do we leave a little on it?
No, it's really a good idea to leave a little on it for a week or so. That way any car traffic or foot traffic that moves a paver around, there's still some sand that can fall down and settle into the cracks.
Can an amateur put this down?
Well, they can, but it's a lot of weight. You know, an average driveway like this takes about a truckload. You're looking at 45,000 pounds.
Wow.
That's a lot of weight for a guy to be doing on a weekend.
Yeah. Once these cobblestone pavers are installed, your driveways and sidewalks will be virtually maintenance-free. Before you hire a contractor to give your driveway that cobblestone look, It's a good idea to visit a home where these pavers have been in place for at least 4 years. If everything still looks good, you'll probably be in good shape hiring the same contractor to do your job. If you'd like more information on how you can get the look of old cobblestones with the advantages of today's concrete pavers, contact us on the internet at michaelholigan.com.
When you're driving in small brads or finishing nails, it's next to impossible not to hit your fingers on the first couple of strikes. So the next time, why don't you try this quick tip? Just take a thick piece of paper or a small thin piece of cardboard and press your nail or brad right through that. Then hold on to the end of the strip, hold your nail in place, and give it a first couple of strikes. Now once you have it started, then just pull your strip away and finish driving it the rest of the way in.
What's the use of having good tools if you don't have a good place to use them? Super handyman Al Carroll solves the problem with a handy garage workbench you can build yourself.
Your yard waste may be more valuable than you think. I'll show you why today on The Great Outdoors.
If you'd like a detailed list of the tools and materials needed for any project that you've seen on the show, you can find it on the internet at www.michaelholigan.com.
Does your garage look like this? It's just full of junk. This place has got everything, including the kitchen sink. I'm going to get rid of all this junk, and this space back here is a great opportunity to build a workbench. We're going to show you how to build one. It is a do-it-yourself project. So let's get going. Well, we got rid of all of our junk, and as a matter of fact, we're going to get rid of it permanently because we're going to have a yard sale. I was able to find some really great plans for our workbench. See what it's going to look like? This is from Roger, the Project Pro. Got it off the internet, and also got Roger off the internet. Welcome, big guy.
How you doing, Al?
Well, I'm doing great. I noticed the first thing we have to do is to cut off 4 legs that are 3 feet long.
Right. In here, I've already cut one off, and then you notice here I cut a notch in the top already?
Yeah.
Well, later on, we're going to go to the table saw and show them how to cut this notch. But we need that notch on the top like that so the 2x4 will wrap around that bench and give it some added strength.
Absolutely. And we're using redwood here, folks, but you could actually save some money if you get pressure-treated lumber. Now, I'm going to make a mark here at the 3-foot line. I'm then going to take the square and transfer that to the side, flip it over, transfer it there, and then flip it over. The reason being, this way we can cut off of both sides and end up with one cut going all the way through. Roger, give it a cut. And we'll flip it over. Outstanding. Now we just need 3 more of these dudes. Now we brought in our table saw for the next cut. Roger, show us how we're going to make that notch cut.
Here's that leg we cut off at 3 feet. I have a fence here. I moved that fence up and preset it at 2 3/4 wide.
Right.
From the blade. Adjusted the blade height and 1.5 inches high. That'll accept that 2x4. That's going to wrap around that bench. I'll make one cut here with 4x4 through. Then I'll roll that 4x4 over and make one more cut. Then I'll have to shut the saw off, make an adjustment, and reverse those measurements to 1.5 inches with the fence and raise the blade up 2 3/4 so I can have the 4x4 to pass through on the top side.
Okay, Roger, let her rip.
Move our rail in to 1.5 inches. And I can read that right on here on the rail. Bring that blade up to 2 3/4. How's that look, Al?
A lot more. A little bit more. Whoa, down a little bit. There we go.
2 3/4.
Well, now that we've finished our 4 legs, we need to make the band that goes around to hold the top. As you can see, there's a notch cut in there. That's called a dado, and it's 3/4 of an inch by 3/4 of an inch, which means that our 3/4 inch plywood top is going to fit right down in there. That also means that Roger's going to have to make 2 cuts to get this dado.
Right, Al. What I've done is I've set the fence on the saw at 3/4 of an inch to the outside of the blade, and I've raised the blade up 3/4 of an inch. And on 2x4, we have a rough side and a smooth side. Now, 2x4 sometimes don't come real smooth on both sides. It's hard to find a real good one nowadays, so we'll cut the dado on the rough side.
Okay, that sounds good to me. Well, now that the dados are cut, we need to cut these pieces. They need to be cut at a 45-degree angle on each end. This is a 2-foot long piece. We also need a 6-foot long piece, and that's going to give us a real nice outside corner. In order to get that cut out of here, though, where we've got 2 and 6, and it's an 8-foot long, you can't waste anything. It's got to be accurate.
That's right, Al. With a power miter saw, we can do that, though. First, all we have to do is move it over to a 45-degree angle marked on our saw.
Right.
My first cut is going to have to be right on the corner of that 2x4. And then I'll flip it over, make a mark right here on my 2x4, which I pre-marked right here, and I'll flip it over again, and I'll make that next cut. And that prevents me from moving the miter saw around. I don't have to move it around so many times. Saves me some steps.
Go for it. Now, assembly is going to be real easy. We're going to be using drywall screws. All I need to do is to get my drill and get to work. Well, okay, Roger, the other 3 pieces have really gone together nicely. We pre-drilled our holes, and we're now going to put the screws in place. And once we get that done, and once Roger gets the other end taken care of, we're going to be ready to put our legs on.
Al, notice the dado cut on the top here. That's where our top's going to fit in nice and flush. So we're going to have to flip it over to attach our legs.
We've got some pre-drilled holes in the legs here to make it a little bit easier. Look how nicely that fits in there.
I'm using 3-inch rock screws to attach the legs. One in there. We'll come in from the other side here. Attach another one.
You know, with the legs in place, this is really a sturdy base. This is going to be our top right here, Roger, so we need to move this out of the way. And our top is going to be 22.5 by 70.5. I've already measured up here for 22.5.
Here's 70.5 here.
Okay, measure up 22.5 and we'll be ready to snap a line.
22.5. Let's use a chalk line here, Al. Snap this line. Got it
Let
there?
it rip.
Okay. There, makes a nice line. Chalk line works great for doing that.
All right, you going to chalk your line down there?
Yes, I am.
Here you go, Roger. You want to make your cut first?
Okay.
Okay, let's see if it's going to fit.
Got your end in there, Al? Boy, nice snug fit.
You know, instead of attaching this down, I think it's going to be better to leave it in like it is. That way, when we botch up the top, we can turn it over and use the bottom side. And if we ruin both sides, we can put in a new top without tearing up the bench.
That's right.
Hey, let's move this workstation over here and we'll put it in place on the wall. All we have to do is mount this vise up here, Roger, and we got ourselves a really first-class workbench.
It turned out pretty nice, Al. You notice underneath, though, you could add some drawers, put some shelves in there, or just leave it for storage.
Absolutely. We did put the pegboard up here so we can have our tools hanging in front of us. Very handy. And we also got some heavy-duty cabinets with shelves, and I think that's going to be a good addition. If you'd like to have the plans and do your workbench yourself, why don't you contact us on the internet? It's michaelholigan.com.
When we build a new home, we move a lot of topsoil around. It's unavoidable. And unfortunately, a great many of us don't return any materials to the topsoil. Today I'd like to talk to you about recycling some of your yard waste. This is a mulching mower. Instead of having a bagger attachment to it and bagging my clippings and taking them out to the curb and sending them to the landfill, or instead of raking up leaves and bagging those and sending them away, I go over them with my mulching mower and push all that back down into the soil, into the topsoil, where it can nourish the plants for next year. And that's my topic for today, recycling yard waste. This has got to be one of my favorite new tools. When I was a kid, I used to have to do this job with a rake. Now I can either blow them out of the landscape or vacuum them up. They get chewed into small pieces and shoved into a bag. Am I going to take this out to the curb and dump it, send it to the landfill? No, my friends, I'm not. I'm going to take it to the compost heap, or better yet, till it directly into the garden. Recycling lawn clippings and leaves is easy, but when it comes to branches and brush, we need a little more power. I'll show you what I mean. Now this is a chipper shredder, and it makes short work of those big limbs that we were pruning off the apple tree a few moments ago. These come in a variety of sizes. Small ones will only take small twigs. This one will chew up a limb up to 4 inches in diameter. I want you to notice that it has more than a couple of warning labels on it. Be careful when you use this. Read all the signs and make sure that you talk to the man at the rental shop to find out if there's anything in particular you need to know about this machine before you turn it on. And always wear eye and ear protection as well. Chips come out of the discharge chute with considerable force. Be sure the discharge chute is locked into the proper position. The hydraulic feed wheels on this machine are designed to pull wood into the chipper. They don't know the difference between your hand and a branch. So reaching into or kicking brush into the chipper is extremely dangerous. Perhaps the most difficult and least pleasant form of yard waste to recycle is that that's left behind by our pets. This product is a septic system for our dog's manure. We install it in the soil like this, and we've got a deeper hole in the bottom, and we backfill around it with soil so that only the lid shows. We put the manure inside, we add an enzyme that causes it to break down into a harmless, environmentally safe liquid that leaches into the soil, and we've solved a big problem here in an environmentally friendly, non-toxic, and odor-free way. This is a great product. As you can see, almost any kind of organic matter that we have in our yard can be recycled and returned to the soil, and that's a good thing to do at your new house.
If you're looking for a way to save your sagging gutter, here's a quick tip for you. Many times aluminum gutters are held in place by a steel spike driven through this tubular sleeve or ferrule into the fascia board. Now sometimes these spikes can bend due to an ill-placed ladder, fallen tree branch, or even heavy ice buildup. You can yank it out and replace it with a new one, but before you do that, try this. Take a single link from a decorative chain, like the kind you would use to swag a lamp with, and then open it with some pliers. Now slip it around the bent spike, and then take a long piece of steel angle iron and slip it through the link. Now let the angle iron rest up against the spike towards the rear of the gutter. Then pull up on the back of the iron to straighten out the spike. Do this very gently and carefully. Then release the pressure to see if your gutter is straight. If not, just repeat the process until it is straight.
Have you ever dreamed of moving to a tropical island and leaving all of your electric bills behind? Hi, I'm Steve EASLEY in the Hawaiian Islands. Coming up, we're going to show you a homeowner who gets all of his power from the sun. How would you like to have this view from your front yard? This is the eastern shore of Maui in the Hawaiian Islands. But did you know that Maui Electric does not provide service to this extremely remote location? But that didn't stop Helen and Jonathan Starr from building the home of their dreams. This 4,000 square foot home is powered completely by energy from the sun. When Helen and Jonathan built this lodge-style home 6 years ago, they made sure it had all the modern conveniences that you would find in any new house in any large city. But they also made sure it was about as far from any city, large or small, as they could get. The road to Helen and Jonathan's home is rough and rocky. It's a punishing 2-hour-long ride to the nearest grocery store. And Maui Electric's power lines haven't yet made it to this remote area of the island. But there's an abundance of sunshine here, and a system of 3 solar panels provides all of the home's electricity. Jonathan, this is a photovoltaic panel. How does your system work?
Well, these photocells gather the energy from the sun and light and turn it into electricity, and then pass the electricity through wires into the building.
How much do these put out?
Each of the sets of panels puts out about 1,000 watts.
Really? Really? Now, how does it follow the sun, so you're always getting power?
Well, the mounts are called trackers, and they use tiny photocells up here to track the sun, and they move all the way from the east to the west, following the sun during the day, and then just after sunset they'll return back to the east so they're ready for sunrise the next morning.
Now these photovoltaic panels, do they power the house directly?
No, all they do is keep the batteries full, and the batteries power the house, and the batteries are inside the garage here. Would you like to see them?
Absolutely.
Oh, good. This is our battery bank, Steve. It's really the heart of our system. It's where we store all of the power that comes in from the solar panels.
Now, that's some big batteries. How long can you go before you run out of juice?
We can go about 5 days without sun. In a cloudy period, that's about as long as we've ever seen it overcast out here.
Really? Well, these are batteries, which means that it's DC, like a flashlight, but our appliances, they won't run off of DC. How do you get this converted to something you can use?
We have a pair of sine wave inverters, which are very efficient and make wonderful clean electricity, and we use 120 or 240 volts that comes off of those inverters to power everything that we use in our lives.
The solar power systems cost about $40,000 to install. But because of the tropical climate and the abundance of cool breezes from the ocean, there's no need for heating or air conditioning. The home uses about 1/3 as much electricity as the average home on the mainland. Plus, there's no need for a conventional water heater. The sun heats all the water that Helen and Jonathan use. On most of the homes in Maui, you'll find the water heating system on the roof. This system is similar to the one on Helen and Jonathan's home. These workers are installing this solar water heating system on the roof of a new home in a suburban area of Maui. So Jim, can you explain to me how a solar water heating system works?
Yeah, Steve. This is a solar collector panel here. And you put this up on the roof, and what it does, it gains heat from the sun. And the way it works is there's a box here. This case is made out of aluminum, and on the inside there's this copper absorber. And the absorber has these waterways that go down through here, and that carries water through this thing.
And those are
to
sealed
get hot.
tubes?
Yeah, they're sealed tubes. And it has this glass cover here. And the glass cover has a textured surface on it so it doesn't reflect sunshine as much as, say, window pane glass. So therefore, it's a more efficient glass. Water gets hot in here, it's carried down into a storage tank inside the house for use later on, evenings, mornings.
Well, how many of these would I need for a typical home?
In this application here, we have a 120-gallon storage tank, and you'll need 3 of these 4x8 panels here to heat the water up. It'll heat it hot as a pistol.
And if the sun doesn't come out, you probably have an electric backup. Right?
There's an electric backup in the system.
What's something like this cost?
This system here is $4,800. The utility company here, Maui Electric, offers a $1,000 rebate on it. State of Hawaii offers a 35% tax credit. Takes about 3 or 4 years to pay for itself. You'd be crazy not to buy one.
Yeah, well, it makes a lot of sense. Maui Electric encourages the use of solar energy because the power plant burns diesel fuel to generate electricity, and that creates environmental concerns. Solar water heating reduces the home's electrical consumption by about 40%. By reducing the amount of power being used, Maui Electric reduces the amount of diesel fuel it burns. This solar power incentive program is a good example of a utility company working together with its customers to help preserve the environment, one of the most beautiful, diverse, and sought-after environments in the world.
Believe it or not, there are people that want to give you money for your down payment. I'll tell you who they are and how you can get it in today's Mortgage Moment. And add a touch of style with mosaic tile. It's easy to do and will make that backsplash in your new house come to life. Teresa Garrett shows you how. It's all next when we come back to your new house.
If you'd like a detailed list of the tools and materials needed for any project that you've seen on the show, you can find it on the internet at www.michaelholigan.com.
Nehemiah was an Old Testament figure who ruled Jerusalem after rebuilding its walls section by section. His name has been borrowed by a nationwide program that makes it possible for thousands of people to enjoy home ownership when they thought they couldn't. If you qualify for an FHA loan but don't have the money for a down payment, Nehemiah could help you too. The Nehemiah program is a nonprofit organization that gives people money for down payments on homes. It will give 3% of the home selling price to any FHA qualified buyer purchasing a home from a participating seller. You do need to have 1% of your own money involved in the transaction or in reserves, but in some states your 1% can be gifts from other people. Are there any catches to Nehemiah? No. The 3% really is a gift according to Department of Housing and Urban Development gift standards, although you do have to take home ownership education classes before you can receive it. The only real trick to Nehemiah might be in encouraging the home seller to participate in the program. The seller must pay Nehemiah a fee equal to 4% of the selling price of the home, and the property must meet or exceed FHA and Nehemiah guidelines. The seller must give you an approved 2-year roof certification and a 1-year warranty on the home, and must sign an agreement with Nehemiah stating that the property meets or exceeds the guidelines. These rules were designed to protect you from major repairs during your first couple of years of home ownership. The 4% seller's fee helps fund a variety of Nehemiah projects and helps other families buy homes. If you're interested in Nehemiah, your best bet is to find a lender familiar with the program. Get qualified to buy, then work with the realtor to find a home. Your realtor will educate the home seller about Nehemiah. If all goes well, you and the seller will both achieve your goals. By the way, a Nehemiah sale doesn't take any longer to close than any other sale and may even go through faster.
Today we're in the kitchen and we're going to do a really fun and easy project. We're going to tile the backsplash. I've got 3 different colors of tile and I could just use the solid pieces and design a pattern, but we want to have a more contemporary look for this kitchen. So to do that, we're going to be installing a broken tiled backsplash, and it's really easy to do. And that's how you break up the tile. You could also put your tile in plastic bags and break it up that way, but either way, the bags or the carpet will keep your tile from flying everywhere. Now you can see that we have a lot of different sizes and shapes, and this is really going to help the backsplash look nice. Before you put your broken pieces on, you want to start with border tiles, and you can buy the borders at the same time that you do your regular tile. Now the reason that you want to put a border on is because you can see this has a rounded finished edge called a bull-nosed edge. So when you put this up there around your border, it's going to look really nice. If you just used your broken pieces for the border, you'd see the unfinished edge, and that's not going to look quite as nice as the border will. Now since our backsplash is gray, we chose black to really highlight and accent this area. But remember, the tiles and the borders will come in any color that you want. To put all of your pieces on, you need to use some mastic. And I've got a notched applicator that I'm using. I'm also using the 1/8 of an inch side to give me the right amount of thickness to hold all of the tiles in place. You don't want to do the whole area just yet. All you want to do is just put some mastic on around the border that you'll be placing the tiles. I'm going to start with this corner piece, and as you can see, it has a finished edge on both sides. So this piece goes right there. And then I'm just going to work my way down. Now it's not going to be necessary to run this border all the way to the wall. Since the cabinet's going to cover it up, I'm going to stop right here. And I'm leaving about an 1/8 of an inch gap in between, so I'll have space for a grout line. Put another piece here. Just put the border in each small space that you're working on. Now the reason that you want to work in a small area is because remember, you're adding mastic for your tiles. And if you spread the mastic over a larger area, especially since you're using smaller pieces of tile, the mastic would dry out before you'd have time to get all of the tile installed. Alright, now I have all of the tile broken up and separated by color. Now comes the fun part, putting these on. And because these aren't all the same shape, this is where you can create any kind of look or pattern that you're after. So I'm just using my 3 colors. I'll do kind of a squiggly effect, I think. When you're putting your tiles up, here's something that I need to warn you about. Because these are broken pieces, you might have some sharp edges or jagged edges. All you need to do to solve that problem is take a piece of sandpaper and just smooth that down. There, that feels a lot better. That way, once you get this all put up and grouted in, you won't have any jagged or sharp edges exposed, and you won't take a chance of ever cutting your hand when you're cleaning the backsplash. Now here's just a small problem that you might run into. You might have a small gap and you don't have any other tiles to fit in there. You can use a pair of nippers just to cut your tile. Alright, now that fits in there nicely. I've added some border right here around this window just to set off our pattern a little bit more. Now let me show you this. If you have a switch or an electrical outlet, what you want to do is pull your plate out just a little bit so you can slide your tiles up underneath there. That way when you put the cover back on, it'll sit flush with your tile. Well, I'm almost finished. I just have this small area left to do. Now this is a pretty time-consuming project, but that's only because you're working with such small pieces. However, it's a very simple project that you can do yourself. As soon as I get through with this area, what we need to do is let this set up for at least 24 hours for the mastic to dry. Then we can come back in and grout this, put our plates back on, and we'll be finished. We've let the mastic set up for 24 hours, and now we're ready to grout this in. You can choose almost any color of grout that you want. For our project, we've chosen a darker gray. Now what you want to do is use a grout float to put this on with. I'll just get you a big dab. Go ahead and smear this all the way over your tiles like this. And what this is doing simply is just filling in the gaps between your tiles. When you get down here to the bottom of the cabinet, you definitely need to get this in the cracks below as well. But you'll want to clean up your cabinet pretty quickly so that it doesn't stain or damage your cabinet. It's a good idea to go ahead and turn your breakers off, and just be careful when you're putting the grout around this area not to get any grout into your sockets or your light switches. You need to let the grout dry for about 15 minutes before you wipe it off, and the tiles clean up really easy. Just take a wet sponge and wipe over your tiles just like this. And what you want to do is keep rinsing out your sponge as you go. When you clean off your tiles, you can see how nicely your pattern shows up, and also how well your grout lines are filled in. Alright, this is our last switch plate, and we're finished. We spent right about $70 for this project, but you could spend more or less depending on the size of your project and also the tiles that you choose. But you can see that we've really added some color to this otherwise dull gray backsplash. If you would like more information on this project or others, contact us on the internet at michaelholigan.com.
Hand tools that are stored in drawers can often rust, especially if they're stored in your basement or your garage or your outside tool shed. But here's a quick tip for you. One way to stop the corrosion is to take a carpet sample or a remnant and then cut a piece of it out so that it can line the bottom of your drawer. Just line it up and cut it out. Then once you have the carpet cut out, go ahead and place it in the bottom of your drawer and spray it with a generous coat of spray lubricant. Now this carpet will do two things. One, it'll prevent your tools from rolling around and banging into each other, which can scratch the finishes and dull any sharp edges. And two, it'll prevent rust. Now eventually this lubricant will start to evaporate, so for best results you want to go ahead and remove the tools about once every 2 months and spray the carpet again.
Give us one good reason you decided to leave our fireplace out.
It's a security breach.
How?
Hey, if Santa can get down there, anybody can.
Now you can definitely add a fireplace anytime, but it's better if you plan ahead and build it in right from the start. The reason you can add them later is because now they're really normally not masonry fireplaces. They're metal boxes that you can actually build up right against, so you can put it anywhere in your home. You can put it as high or low as you want. We put it up on cinder blocks so we have room for a full piece of tile from our flooring material all the way up, and we'll put tile up the sides and around the top as well. You could also do the same with brick. If you'd like a really tall hearth, you could just add some more blocks underneath and build it up before you put your flue on. It's nice because on the inside it looks like a masonry fireplace, but it's not. You know, that's just a ceramic that's in there for looks. You've got to draw air from somewhere to actually burn the fire, and you don't want to draw the air that you've already paid to heat inside your house. So this one has an exterior air intake, which is this tube going to the outside of the home, and here's a switch for it. Whenever we're burning a fire, we put it to open, and as the fire draws air to burn, it actually draws it through this tube from the exterior of the home instead of the air, like I said, that we've already paid to heat. We're not going to burn that air. When we're done with the fire, we just shut it off, and that way we don't have any cool air coming inside in the wintertime when we're not burning the fire. The flue on a metal prefab chimney like this is actually made up of two tubes, one right inside of the other. The smoke goes up the inside tube, while the outer tube creates an air pocket. So the outside of the flue stays much cooler than the inside. It's very important to make sure the stacking sections of the flue are secured in place with screws. Later on, high winds could lift up on the chimney cap, or maybe a chimney sweep doing routine cleaning could pull up on the flue, and that can cause these sections to come apart. Then you could end up with a serious fire hazard if flying embers began to make their way through the cracks between the sections. Right here you can see a fire stop and a fire block. The fire block is this wood-oriented strand board. It'll slow down a fire, and then the fire stop is the metal piece. We don't want the flue to actually be touching wood, so we've got that metal piece there around it. That'll help slow down a fire, because if a fire went up through the chimney and got into the attic, it would burn down the house very quickly, and we want to slow it down as much as possible. Now this is a wood-burning fireplace, but you can also get them with gas logs. If you don't plan ahead and you want to add one later, here's a great way to do it. This looks like a wood-burning stove, but it actually has gas logs inside of it. So it's not messy at all. It looked great, you know, in a kitchen, maybe out in a game room. Flue painted the same color, of course, where all your smoke and exhaust are going to be. But what if you don't have room for that, or you don't want to take a flue up through your roof? Well, there is an option. This is a direct vent fireplace, and it's got gas logs inside of it as well, so you're not going to make a mess bringing wood in. But it doesn't have a flue that runs up. It can if you want, but this one can actually run out the side of your house. If you'd like more information about choosing the right fireplace for your home and your particular situation, contact us on the internet at michaelholigan.com.
Today we're going to be checking out some products for your pet, and to help me do that I have here Rena the Wonder Dog, and our first product is right here. It's by Sharper Image, and it's the Ion Bath Pet Brush. Now this is not only a great pet brush because it's got a nice ergonomic grip and a nice wide brush, but when you push this button right here, it starts to blow out an ion-rich stream of air which neutralizes pet odors. So this way, while you're brushing your pet, you're also making your pet smell nice and removing those pet odors. And I can tell you, I love Rena, but sometimes she really stinks, and this is one solution. The cost of this brush, about $50, and once Rena is looking good and smelling good, it's time to take her out in the town. So check this out. Now I'm wearing some products that make taking your dog for a walk a little bit easier. Now all these products are by a company called Blue Dog Gear Company, and this first one right here is called the Pickup Artist. It comes with some little trash bags right in there, so this is for picking up your pooch's poop. Once you've picked it up, you can store it right in here until you get to the proper receptacle. Right over here I have something called the Booty Bag. This is for carrying some doggy treats while you're on your walk, and it's stored nice and easily right here. It attaches to any fanny pack. And this is a water bottle. It's called the Waterworks Tote. It's a water bottle that you can take a swig of some water while you're on the walk, but it also comes with this collapsible folding bowl that you can fill with some water, so you can give your dog some water while you're on that walk on that nice hot summer day. Now the cost of these products, the Waterworks is under $30, the Pickup Artist under $40, and the Booty Bag under $20. Now this is great for your dog, but what about your cat? Check this out. Now both of these products are from Solutions, and this one is called the Fat Cat Laser. Looks like a key ring, but when you push this button right here, it projects a laser image of a mouse. You can project it anywhere, and your cat will jump at it, and if it's a fat cat, you'll give your cat some exercise, and it'll certainly give you some fun. The cost of the Fat Cat Laser is about $15. Now once you've got your cat all tired out, he's going to want to relax, and that's what this is about. This is the Thermo Kitty Sill. The way it works, it attaches to your windowsill with some Velcro or a screw. It's got some brackets underneath it. You plug it in, and it creates a nice warm area here, so your cat can look out in the world and stay nice and toasty and cozy and warm. The cost of this sill is about $60. Now to protect your car from your cats and dogs, the Solutions catalog has several seat covers. This one straps right onto the headrest, right down here. It's got kind of a rubberized back so it doesn't move. The front is really easy to clean. For a single seat it costs about $40. The one for the double back seat costs about $50. Now right back here, Orvis makes a back seat saver that has sort of a hammock design. Again, it straps onto the headrest, but because of this hammock design, it kind of protects the floorboards. So the cost of this one is about $70. Now to protect your furniture inside the house, a company called Contact Electronics has come up with this product, which is called the Scat Mat. It takes a 9-volt battery. Once it's hooked up, it gives off a static pulse whenever your animal jumps on top of it. Now the company claims it's totally safe. They also say that after your animal experiences that pulse a few times, they won't jump up on the couch or the countertop or wherever you place it again. Now the company also makes a round one, which is great for underneath a Christmas tree or a garbage can, and the cost is between $90 and $100. So next time your animal wants to jump up on the couch, they'll have reason to pause. And finally, from smarthome.com, this is the Deli Dome. It uses your voice to call your cat to dinner. Let me turn this off so I can show you how it works. And inside each one of these balls, which has a mouse painted on it, you put some cat food. So when the ball comes out, your cat plays with it, the food comes out, and they're fed, entertained, and it's kind of fun, and they hear your voice, so they associate you with their meal. It's kind of a good thing, and it keeps your animal amused all afternoon. Now, the cost of this is about $50, and it runs off of a 9-volt battery, and this cat and mouse game should keep your kitty content. Now, for more information on this product or any of the other Check This Out products, check out our website at michaelholigan.com.